Hey guys, welcome back to Out of Work Outdoors. My name is Connery, and today we're going to talk about what you can do to make yourself a better fisherman. This applies to everybody that watches the channel. It doesn't matter if you're a kayak fisherman, you're a bank beater, you are a tournament angler, a beginning angler. I'm going to say these are the top 5, okay? These will help everybody out. So I gotta stretch it back so far because I've been fishing since I was 5 years old. I'm like 36, 37 now. Okay, so I've been fishing a long time. It's one of those things where I grew up in a really poor family, you can say, and we couldn't afford to do a lot of normal things like going out and buying pizza, even something as simple as that. Couldn't afford to do it. We were on the welfare system, and I'm not proud to say that, but I'm not proud to acknowledge it. I'm not going to say I'm not. But so what we did was we did a lot of fishing. The thing we did as a family entertainment was fishing. So did that a lot and did that for about 10 years. Okay, just kind of your casual fisherman, nothing serious, but then there came a moment in time when my dad and my uncles got more and more serious about, the outdoors. They started buying better equipment. They couldn't still buy the best equipment, but they trusted each other, because if one guy bought something and it seemed to work a little bit better than the other equipment they're currently using, then they kind of flocked to that other product, and that's how Out of Work really started, right? It was the influence from your dad and your uncles, basically, in the environment we grew up in. So we never really went to the theaters, never had McDonald's until I was probably 12 and things like that. So top five, number 1, I'm going to start off with, is learning how to tie knots, okay? Even if you have cheap line, your knots is a major deal. So be sure to tie your knots properly and make sure you can tie it consistently every time. That's probably the free one. Like, you don't spend any money. You buy whatever you buy, but learn how to tie those knots as good as you can. And if you keep breaking off on the knots, and okay, so this is how you tell if your line breaks off or not. If the line goes and it's like cut, then it's not a knot problem. If it goes but it's got a little pigtail at the end, that's a knot problem. So just figure that out. Learn how to tie knots and learning when to tie knots. Okay, so for the most part, during the day, if you're aggressively fishing and your line touches the rocks a lot, or if your line has been frayed up a little bit, so check the fray on the hooks too. Not the hooks, the line too. Just look at the line. If usually it's in the first foot, right? Most of your frays will be in the first foot. So just check that, and then check the other 2 feet. That's the majority of the time when your line's gonna break. So that's probably number 5. So check all that. If the line doesn't look perfect, if it's got a little nick on it, if you look at the line's really clear. If you see a little crack in it, it's done. Cut it off, retie it. Okay, so it's not uncommon for me to retie 10 times, 20 times. I've had tournaments, okay, so this was the tournament guys. I've had tournaments where I've retied like 30 times one day. Okay, so just keep an eye on the line. Number one reason for failure is line breaking. So let's try to keep that down to a minimal, and yeah, it's cheap. It's a cheap one. Okay. Number 2, actually that was number 5. Number 4 is just a game plan. Okay, so kind of what you want to do. Whether you're on the bank and you're just trying to fish around, you still gotta have a game plan for what you want to do, especially if you want to keep fish, right? If you want to keep fish, then you gotta have a fish stringer, or you gotta have some type of a system to keep the fish with you as you're. I'm an aggressive fisherman, so I move around a lot, even though I'm on the bank. So if I plan to catch fish, I gotta have a way to store my fish. So if I go out on the bank, I carry a backpack with a bunch of plastic bags. So basically, you catch the fish, you knock them on the head, and you bleed them out. And then, well, if you got time, leave them out. If you don't, then just knock them on the head, kill them. Put them in a plastic bag, throw it in the backpack. We're moving, right? So that's kind of my game plan. Some kind of a game plan. For a tournament angler, you might want to look at the winds and things like that and have an idea of what you want to do that day. And a lot of times, as a tournament angler, you should not have a favorite spot. You might have a favorite area, but not a favorite spot. Okay, so game plan a little bit. Kind of know what you're gonna encounter throughout the day. And for the guys that are bringing live bait, if you have a bubbler or something, make sure the batteries are, pretty good, ready to go. Because a lot of times, I've seen this myself, you go out and your little bubbler that's powered by battery, it goes out and then all your minnows die, things like that. So something as simple as that will help out people quite a bit. Kind of control the things you can control. And because we're fishermen, we go out in the elements and everything like that. There's so much stuff that can go wrong during the day that you want to control the things that you can control. Tying lines, things like that. Keep the hook sharp. So that comes to number 3. Number 3 is still a simple one, but it's going to cost you a little bit more money, right? A lot of times, I see people lose fish because their hook's not sharp. Hybrid Killer does it a lot. So I'm always yelling at them. Was that a new hook? Or was that a used hook? Does that hook have rust on it? So I'm always telling them, look, dude, my hook sharpener is right here in my kayak. If you need it, just sharpen the hook up real quick. Okay, so in terms of hook sharpeners, they kind of range from like $3 all the way to $20. I have one from Rapala that I'm really, 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 really fond of. I've tried a lot of hook sharpeners, but I'll try to shoot you guys a link in the description below. But it is the one it's a double-sided one. It's got 2 rollers on one side, and it's got like a flat, more flat with a groove cut in it on the other side. It's actually the best one I've ever used, but it is more expensive. It is I think it's about $20, and most stores won't carry it because it's so expensive. But it's the best one. I've bought like 4 or 5 of them already. So that's number 3. Keep your hook sharp. Doesn't matter what brand you buy, they're gonna get dull. Okay, some hooks come from the factory dull. Okay, Eagle Claw is notorious for it. VMC is notorious for it. Mustads are middle ground, I would say, and typically always sharp. Gamakatsus and Owners. Those are the major brands, at least. So unless you've got one of those brand new Owners or Gamas, you still gotta check them, because some of them are super sharp, and some of them are just pretty sharp. So you want them super sharp, and learn how to use the file properly. Look it up on YouTube. There's a bunch of good tutorials. But yeah, keep your hooks sharp. Buy a hook sharpener. It pays for itself. It is that good. All right, so that's gonna round out the top 3. Now the 1 and 2 are gonna be fairly advanced, because these are gonna be for my advanced anglers, right? The guys that have been doing it for a long time, or the guys that actually want to get a heads up on the competition. Okay, so number 2. Did I just spit there? Number 2 is gonna be Google Maps Study. So this breaks it off. This is what separates the A's from the B's. Okay, it really does. I didn't feel, in the world of tournament fishing, this is where this skill kind of grew and came along. But I've backpedaled it all the way back to everything else I do too, for stripers, for crappies, everything, right? And it's called Google. It's Google Map Studies. That's what I call it, Google Studies, or some people just call it Map Study. But what that is you want to look at the lake from aerial perspective, from the top down. So that way you can see where the dams are at, if you have dams, where the breaks are at, where the bluffs are at, where the creek channel swings, where the flats are at. And this is a major one. This is why you still need a computer. Computers, go Windows XP, whatever you have, Windows 10. Go download Google Map. It's Google Earth Pro. It is probably the #1 tool that's free. It should be paid. Even if they have to pay for it, you should still buy it. Even at like a $200 price point, you should still buy it. get the program, download it, go to your favorite lake. And the key thing here is there's a button that has time frames on it. Meaning, you click this button, you can step back in time. So every single lake goes up and down comparatively over the years, right? So most lakes will have a 4 to 5 foot fluctuation. That's like 90% of lakes, right? But there's a couple other lakes that will go through a drought season. And that is what you're looking for. Drought seasons will reveal your shoreline. So there might be laydowns in 10 foot of water. During the drought is minus 20. So the tree is in like the air. It's on dry land. You can see it. It exposes rock piles, exposes foundations, exposes rock lines, exposes old fence lines, exposes you name it. Okay, so take that knowledge from Google Maps, and a lot of times you have Navionics also. So Navionics web app, just Google it, or they call it Chart View now, I think, but I still call it web app. Compare your Google. Okay, so get your Google on one side. If it's a dual monitor, it's even better. But regardless, you can switch windows back. Google on one side, Navionics web app on the other side, and then look at the contours and compare to what you see on Google. It gives you a really, really, really good idea of what you're getting yourself into before you get to the lake. Okay, when we get to the lake, we're not exploring no more. We're not going to coves and pockets looking for channel swings no more. You should already know where all that stuff is at. You go in basically just to confirm what you got in your mind. Okay, so your mind, you might be, sorry, there's a little bit of science problem. In your mind, it should be, I just want to go to that creek to see how good these rocks look. Or I want to go there just to see how the water clarity looks, because you can't see that on a satellite view. All right, so it helps narrow things down for you. And if for us, especially this year, a lot of times we go in fishing blind. So tournaments, that is. You go in fishing blind. A lot of it's Google Maps sites. I'd look at it for like 4 or 5 hours a day, in and out, right? So the week before a tournament, I gotta do this at work too, but I just look at it. Any curious questions I might have, just zoom in on the pictures and kind of look at what's going on. Set yourself up for a win, So same with the crappie guys, same with the striper guys. This time of year, it's all about the flats with rocks. Flats and rocks, flats and rocks, flats and rocks, flats and rocks. So, like a lot of people might say that's a secret spot, hasn't told anybody about it for forever. You get on Google Maps and you're there the next day. It's really that easy. Anything that's less than 5 foot, it's satellite. It's basically satellite took over. Okay, so that's number 2. That's a big number 2, and majority of the people will not do that. Only the A guys, like I said, these top 2 separates the A's from the B's. Okay, so that's what that means is if you the dedicated guys, the guys that truly love fishing, they will get to this stage. But for the up and coming guys, it doesn't really don't be scared of it, because it is not fishing. It is research. Okay, research to aim you towards a successful day. That's what it is. And then we get number 1. Number 1 is a coach. You have to hire a coach. Okay, I'm just kidding. You can't hire a coach. There is no such thing as coaching in fishing. So we have to get the next best thing. Okay, so before the tournament world, before YouTube, we never recorded any of our fishing adventures. Now, you guys, as a YouTube audience, you guys are the side effect of this number 1 reason. The number 1 reason is to record yourself fishing, so you capture your mistakes. You capture your mistakes, and also you capture what actually happened. Because sometimes, and a lot of times, we're kind of daydreaming a little bit, and when a big fish hits, you do record it in your memory, out of the corner of your eye possibly, of how that happened. But your memory, it's so juiced up at the time, it might lie to you later, is what I'm trying to say. The camera doesn't do that. Camera just records everything the way it was. Okay, so if you thought it was a 6-pounder, it was actually a 4, the camera will tell you. If you thought it was a 20-inch, but it was actually just a 17-inch, camera will tell you. if your line breaks, camera tell you. It'll tell you exactly what happened. Yeah, so that's a way to coach yourself. It's a way to coach yourself. You definitely get better. If you don't retie enough, your camera will tell you too. Because if you set and the line just breaks on a medium set, breaks, that's a line issue. So you should do that. The other thing is it also teaches you how to fight a fish. Okay, so if you fought them long enough, if you didn't fight them long enough, it tells you sometimes you're not supposed to fight them long enough. Okay. In the world of tournament angling, we don't want to fight the fish very long. The longer the fight, the more chance the fish is going to get wet. Versus striper fish. We do fight them pretty long. Okay, because most of the times we're on light line. Okay. But it also teaches us that too. How long you should fight a fish. Or rod angles while fishing, while all this other stuff. So I hope that works. The video is running a little longer than I thought. We're up to 16 minutes now, but that's my top 5. Hope you guys enjoy it. Those are top 5s. You could take it now at any moment of your fishing career or hobby, and you can carry it with you until you go to heaven. All right, guys. This is Carter from Out of Work. If you guys want a hat, support the channel. They're $35 a piece. It's free shipping in the lower 48 states. Just message us on Facebook or Instagram, and we'll send you an email address where you can send some money to via PayPal, and we'll send you a hat. All right, guys. See you in the next one. Oh, yeah. Sub to the channel, too. Forgot about that. All right, guys. See ya.